What a film.
There's quite a bit to unpack with this one. Wouldn't you say?
It's not bad. It's not great. Well, that depends on one's opinion, really. But,
Yeah.
But me personally, I'm sort of split down the middle with this one.
Pretty much the same here.
It's got stuff going for it. It's got stuff going against it.
There's a lot here that can be enjoyed, but there's also a lot that, even... And we're not talking about even in a comic book sense. We're talking about just even in a general story sense that we just didn't necessarily like. But at the same time, I think that we could just say that this isn't a badly made film by any stretch of the imagination.
Beautifully shot and directed. Joaquin Phoenix gives an amazing performance. It's just some of we just have some story issues.
Story issues and maybe just a few, kind of thematic issues.
Yeah.
That are kind of holding it back for us personally to make it something more transcendent than just this. I mean, to be fair, this is a really, really good character piece, if nothing else.
A good character study.
It's absolutely something that we could recommend. Hey, you know what? Go see it for yourself. See what you think about it. I think that we can both agree upon that.
A big problem I think that goes against it, and this has been said since the first trailer. It's Taxi Driver. It's King of Comedy. It's got all those, sort of beats going for it. And lo and behold, Robert De Niro is in it.
De Niro is sort of like a key figure in the main character, Arthur Fleck's life. Someone that he's kind of put a lot of his belief into.
He's basically playing the same character that he was obsessed with in King of Comedy, played by Jerry Lewis.
And we come all full circle, would you say? I think that's kind of what you saw from that, especially, it absolutely has the Scorsese look. And of course, remember, Scorsese, I think at one point was on board as a producer for this at one point, but then I think maybe that...
heard that.
But maybe, I think initially the thought was there, but I think that kind of went away. But Todd Phillips definitely apes his aesthetic for this movie, and that's not a slight against him at all. His comments in the press notwithstanding, of course.
Oh boy,
we won't get into that here. That's entirely separate from what we think of this movie.
In regards to the concern over whether this movie glorifies the Joker, in my honest opinion, yes. And I sensed this immediately when he kills a trio of drunk businessmen that work for Wayne Enterprises, and the public views him as a hero for it. And by the end of the movie, these rioters are worshiping him.
Which is odd because, again, you're going for that sort of, what would you say, like late 70s, early 80s grimy look for Gotham City. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have It
even begins with the old Warner Brothers worm logo.
Which, was pretty, which is a nice little touch right there. But I find this is probably my biggest thematic problem with the movie is... he does the shooting, and then all of a sudden it becomes sort of like, it basically becomes like an 80s version of like Occupy, the Resistance, Climate Strike, Antifa, insert your major protest group here. And I'm thinking to myself, was there something like that in the 80s? I'm honestly not sure. That there was, unfortunately, and it's one of those things that does kind of take me out of the movie a little bit. But I absolutely see what they're going for with that, by all means, and I get the whole thought of it. But at the same time, it's also something that's like, this is how that we're gonna go ahead and do this, and it's basically, Thomas Wayne runs for mayor, and then all of a sudden says. Makes the comment of clowns basically almost...
It's basically a basket of deplorables.
More or less, yeah. Yeah, more or less.
And lo and behold, Taxi Driver, guy running for mayor, just saying.
I mean,
or president or whatever,
senator, whatever the heck it is.
Who's running for something?
I mean, okay, full disclosure, I've never seen Taxi Driver, but I think
I have not seen it, but I know all the plot points of it.
I think that's kind of what it is, right there, kind of cultural osmosis, basically.
Yeah.
But that's probably my only major thematic issue with this movie, but kind of everything else is, and I'm not going to be the one to say that whether or not this looks like that it's glorifying or not, because honestly, I don't think that I know enough about it to basically say that. I mean, I don't disagree with you in your thought on that, but I kind of get the feeling that I would probably hear another person say that it's not glorifying him and maybe come to the same agreement. I mean, I don't know. It's really hard to say for this kind of thing. But at the same time, it's also like one of the things that I've kind of that I've kind of noticed is that there's this unwillingness by there's this sort of unwillingness by certain communities online to witness a microscope being put upon for certain people, and I think that that's something. While I completely understand the whole thought of, we shouldn't glorify, say, the people that commit these mass atrocities, because all that it does is just put another all that it does is just put another morbid high score on, as if it were a video game for people killed. But I would honestly say that what are we doing? Well, what is that if not just trying to ignore what happened? Like, I'm not crazy about kind of CNN's coverage about this whole thing, about the movie itself. Like, there have been a lot of folks I've seen online that have criticized CNN for their Twitter feed specifically for saying, hey, you guys, by some people saying basically you want to see a mass shooting happen, which is inspired by this kind of thing, which I think is just stupid. I mean, and yes, we completely understand that. 2012 isn't that far away from us from what happened out in Aurora. God rest those victims, and of course, it's just one of those things that I just feel like that there's kind of this whole thought for some people that just doing a story based on a terrible person thereby elevates them, and I honestly don't think that.
No,
I honestly don't think that
there are many great movies about terrible people.
Yeah,
I mean, look at the fucking Godfather.
Right, and I think one of the things that I also remember a few months ago, I think that they were doing that Zac Efron was going to be starring as Ted Bundy in a movie where he's portraying him as a famous serial killer, and a lot of people kind of complained, and I heard that there was an outrage over it, is saying all you're doing is glorifying what Bundy did and being disrespectful for the victims. Well,
that sound a little disrespectful.
But at the same time, you're also thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute. The whole thing about Ted Bundy was that he was this smooth-talking, this well-trimmed, good-looking guy that basically was able to that was able to earn trust, so to speak. And the whole thought of that is that if you're not gonna have that as a part of a movie about Bundy, what's the point of doing a movie about Bundy? Like, you can't really kind of take one of his things. And this is just coming from me as someone who feels like that, movies should be allowed to be about whatever they want to be.
Well, like with the Ted Bundy thing, the thing that crosses my mind is imagine if someone did a movie about the Columbine shooting.
Which is also true. And, well, there have been movies.
There have been movies or documentaries?
There have been, like, made for TV. I do think that there have been made for TV movies, but I think that there's a lot that those movies may have gotten mistaken. Like, I mean, we're not going to get into that here. There are other places online where you can kind of look into, that whole thing and how it feels like that our perception of that shooting is honestly very flawed. But that's for another time.
But the movie itself, it's got some creative stuff going for it. I like how he's depicted that he has an involuntary laugh when he gets nervous. It's very reminiscent of Shinra in the Japanese animated series Fire Force.
Airing now on Tsunami, I should point out. So it's not something we're just pulling out here.
Right. So I thought that was a good angle for it. He gives a great performance, as I said before, but there were some quirkiness things about his performance that I find a little head scratching. For one thing, through most of the movie, he acts almost like a child. And at times I'm thinking to myself, is this the Joker or is this Danny DeVito in Throw Mama from the Train?
I think I can see kind of where we're going. The only difference is that the mother isn't anywhere near as
Well, is she? Is she?
Well, I'm not gonna go into that one there. 'Cause, yeah, that's a bit of a landmine at the moment.
And another link to King of Comedy. Main character lives with his mother.
There you go.
And another thing that had me scratching my head is that when he's become the Joker, and he's on the talk show. He's acting like, and I hesitate to say this because it's such a stereotype. He's acting sort of like a gay diva. I hesitate to say that.
I'm not going to go that far on that myself. I can kind of see
like,
what you're going for.
What do you think about Murray?
It's an interesting thought, but at the same time, I think at that point, it's also that he's just at this point. At that point, he has completely embraced the madness.
Yeah, his speech in that scene is 100% Joker.
I can agree with that, even if I'm not, completely crazy about the monologue before the stinger at the end of that scene. Now, here's one thing. Okay. So you have that kind of head scratch thing. Let me go ahead and give you the one thing in this movie that I think that the both of us can agree upon. Why the hell was this here? Spoiler warning for everyone. Okay, so very tail end of the movie, the riot is happening after the talk show, and everything's going crazy. We all of a sudden do a swoop shot towards a theater playing a Zorro movie.
Zorro the Gay Blade.
And you know exactly where this is going.
You do.
They did the Thomas and Martha Wayne scene again. Let me make this perfectly clear on this. I absolutely hate Batman v Superman, but Batman v Superman did that scene so much better than in here.
It's just like, you're making a Batman movie, you gotta have that alley.
Oh man, I'm just okay. My issue with it is multifold. All right, so here's the first thing. All right, number one, you have this huge riot going on that's basically just right outside. If you're not 100% sure where your mode of escape isn't the best thing to do is to just kind of hunker down and shelter in place? You're in a movie theater, presumably, so why on earth just stay in that movie theater until things die down and then maybe get some kind of police escort?
I mean,
especially for a mayoral candidate, I think it needs to be reminded.
Yeah. I mean, is there a madman in the theater like Aurora?
I'm not going to even say that one. I mean, if someone was in there, that could probably have explained something, and maybe that could have explained why they decided to leave at that point. And then here's the second point. It's obvious that the man who does the shooting is this guy inspired by Joker. He shoots Thomas and Martha, but he leaves Bruce alive.
Yeah.
He sits down with the establishment guy, okay, so he's gonna kill Thomas and Martha, but with the kid he suddenly has standards.
And the kid looks barely phased. He's just the trigger is pulled, and he's just like.
It was
so traumatized.
Like, if anything, that is probably my least favorite moment of the movie.
And I gotta wonder, why is the Joker so much older than Bruce Wayne?
That's also a very good point.
Because, like, Joaquin Phoenix is in his 40s. By the time the kid is Batman, the Joker is going to be, like...
in his 70s.
60s.
Late 60s, early 70s. If that.
Or younger. But that's quite an age gap for Batman and the Joker. Now, sure, there was an age gap in the 1989 movie, but here's the thing. When the Joker killed Batman's parents... he was a young man.
Exactly. I mean, it just, yeah, I mean, that's really the one big moment that in this entire movie that I honestly really didn't like. But at the same time, it also wasn't something that really kind of, made me kind of think. This wasn't, say, like the bombing, like the bomb at the Capitol scene in Batman v Superman, where the moment that happened, I'm just like, I'm basically like, that's it, they blew it, it's done, I hate this movie.
There's a similar moment to that in this, but the story saves it.
The story absolutely saves it. And I think that
spoiler if you haven't seen it. Hello, Stephanie. There's a sort of swerve in the plot where we're led to believe that the Joker is Bruce Wayne's half-brother.
We're led to believe that, but then...
And I was just thinking, what?
Yeah, I think everyone in the theater was thinking that, but then we get a little further in, and then we realize, oh, wait a minute. Okay, and you know what, given... the Joker's propensity for being an unreliable narrator when it comes to his own origin, it actually works pretty well.
He's an unreliable narrator given his own quote-unquote romantic interest.
This is very true. Yeah, that is...
which I saw coming a mile away.
But it's also pretty damn well done. I'll give them credit for this. Like, this wasn't...
It was kind of like a Tyler Durden kind of thing.
Tyler Durden, or maybe kind of like, or what am I thinking of? Russell Crowe in A Beautiful Mind. If anyone has ever seen that movie. I mean, that's really the only... those actually... worked, I think, pretty well, and maybe they could have been done just a little bit better, but at the same time, it's not a bad story by any stretch of the imagination. It's a good story, good acting and directing, good direction, really good cinematography. You have, I think, honestly, a movie that will probably do well come awards time. I think if Phoenix winds up nominated for Best Actor, I wouldn't be shocked at all. And you know what? Fair play to him. I think that he would be very well deserving as a nominee.
Though I really feel bad about what he's done to his body in this movie.
He lost like 52 pounds.
He looks like he starved himself.
He's not. Just the another in the long line of actors that have done crazy things to their bodies for specific roles. Christian Bale has done that. Daniel Day-Lewis has done that multiple times. I think Mark Wahlberg did that for a movie once. There's just so much that some of these actors put themselves through in order to do this.
I liked the basic premise of him being a hired clown that is just in the worst state of life. It seems very appropriate, though I do not like that costume, that makeup.
The makeup is probably the one thing. I think that the thing about the makeup where it also hurts it, it's those diamonds. It's those blue diamonds on the eyes.
Well, to the blue diamonds credit, it sort of gives a sinister edge to his eyes, similar to the dark circles around Heath Ledger's eyes.
Touche.
But the real painful part is that red nose.
The painted on red nose?
Right.
Yeah, I can kind of see where you're going with that one.
When has the Joker ever had a red nose?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about it, and...
Like, I know this is like an Elseworlds kind of thing, but...
Is it, though?
Well, that they've said that it's inspired by Elseworlds kind of...
Fair enough.
things.
I just say, is it, though, because of that scene near the end. So... forgive me if I'm, wondering about that.
But the red nose just looks ridiculous. The costume looks like it came from a Halloween store.
Which, considering his place in life, it kind of makes sense that it's not exactly, the custom-made look that Heath Ledger had.
Fair enough.
Which, and I completely, honestly, you could basically say he looks like he got it from a thrift store, and, considering his place in life,
that's a fair
makes
point.
a lot of sense.
That's a fair point. Just that makeup. I mean,
yeah, the makeup is probably...
We have already done a face-painted Joker, and granted, we've done a bleached Joker a million times. If I were doing this movie, and this is just my personal thing, I'm no filmmaker, I would probably have him as like an albino.
It's not the worst idea.
Who dyes his hair green and puts on whether a clown smile or just lipstick, I don't know. One good touch I liked at the very end is his mouth is bleeding and he sort of uses his blood to do his own mouth, because that's an idea that I've personally had in the back of my head. Well, what if the Joker's lips are painted in blood? And well, lo and behold, I'm not alone in that idea.
Give Todd Phillips credit for that one.
One thing I found that this movie was lacking in a Joker themed story is playing cards.
Yeah, nary a card anywhere to be found.
I mean, that was a partial inspiration for the Joker.
Exactly.
Bob Kane claimed that he got it from The Man Who Laughs. Jerry Robinson claims that he got it from a Joker playing card.
It's surprising that was kind of left out, especially, one of the best, teaser stingers at the end ever made was at the end of Batman Begins when when Gordon is talking about him, and then all of a sudden he hands it over to him, and then you see the Joker card, and you're thinking to yourself,
oh shit, he's out there.
You're just thinking to yourself, okay, we're going to do Joker in the sequel, buckle up.
And I don't think any of us were prepared for just how amazing a performance that would be.
I don't think any of us. I need to go back and watch that. I haven't seen that movie in a while.
It's disappointing once again that there is no kind of Joker Venom, but they're really trying to ground this in reality, much like The Dark Knight did. I thought it would have been interesting if when he kills those three guys, if he had done similar to in The Dark Knight, carve a Glasgow smile in their cheeks, because he's all talking about how he was put on this earth to make people smile and laugh, which I thought was a great ideology for the Joker in this.
It is. I actually think that's a really good thing to really kind of base his character on. I absolutely think that's a good setup. It's just unfortunate that, I think it probably could have been taken to its potential, but you gotta judge the movie that you wind up seeing, not the movie you want.
Right.
So, in all seriousness, this is a good movie, and honestly, it's a movie that you should absolutely go see. And make up your own opinions on this. I have my issues with this movie, and even some scenes that I really don't like, I honestly, it's good enough.
You take the good with the bad.
It's good enough that the bad stuff doesn't outweigh the good stuff. It's very
balanced for me.
It's not like it's not like Batman v Superman where the weight of everything that was bad completely obscured any merits of quality from that movie. So I mean, I'm not going to judge anyone of whether they liked it or hated it. I'm pretty much perfectly split down the middle. Like, it is a good, well put together movie. It's all just your mileage may vary in that regard.
Also, a funny thing that came to my mind: the scene where he goes to visit young Bruce Wayne, and he's putting his fingers in his mouth to make him smile, so putting his hands on him at all. Is anybody else in the audience thinking, "Yikes, bad touch"?
Probably. Yeah, that was. I mean, there is a good level of discomfort in this movie, and I think that's intentional, and that's not a bad thing at all. This is not meant to be an uplifting movie.
No,
this is meant to be kind of a character study of, arguably one of the most well-known comic book supervillains in the medium. And it's not exactly the kind of movie. I kind of wish that they may have, I do kind of wish that maybe they would have gone more sort of like how they did in Killing Joke, in Killing Joke's origin for him.
Where he has a wife that gets killed.
Yeah, kind of really lean into the one bad day kind of thing.
Well, here his whole life is one bad day.
That's true. Although, at least in Killing Joke, he's already kind of down on his luck at that point to begin with.
And remember, unreliable narrator.
This is true. This is very true. I mean, what can I say? This is going to be one of those movies that's probably going to be talked about for a good long while in regards to this. And, probably for good reason. We don't have another Marvel movie for about another 6 or 7 months at this point.
No kidding.
So, I mean, honestly, can you blame them after both Endgame and Far From Home? Probably not.
They need a little rest.
They need a little rest. I think we all needed a little rest. I mean, other than that, we saw with the trailers that we saw the Birds of Prey / Harley Quinn movie.
Birds of Play?
Did I say that? I meant to say Birds of Prey.
Which I think a bit more a more apt title would be Harley Quinn and Her Fine Feathered Friends.
Which isn't a bad thought at all. And I know that there's a lot of people that are honestly saying that, well, wait a minute, where are the Birds of Prey? I know you've been thinking about that.
I mean, we can't, obviously, those girls are supposed to be those characters, but they look nothing like those characters. It's not even a race thing at all. They just don't resemble those characters in any way.
I mean, let's at least be reasonable. We're probably spoiled for so many years with the DC animated universe.
Probably.
So we probably already have an idea in our head what Black Canary, Huntress, and at least Black Canary and Huntress. We have it in our heads kind of what they're supposed to look like. They don't look anything like that, so we're kind of taken aback. But I get the feeling we're going to acclimate to that as more stuff comes out about it. Now, honestly, I actually... I like the whole...
It's just weird that, of the whole group, Harley Quinn seems like the only one in a costume.
Well, that could be just for the moment. And again, we're seeing, trailers, teasers.
Right.
We're not seeing anything. And I guarantee you they're probably
and maybe this is an origin thing, but where is Black Mask's Black Mask?
Though I will say, Ewan McGregor actually looks like he's really having a lot of fun in that part.
Indeed.
So that's going to be fun to see when that comes up.
One other thing I have to say about that movie, that poster is god-awful ugly. I mean, it's bright and colorful, sure, and that's not the problem. It looks like it was slapped together in Photoshop.
And people also complain about the posters for some of the Marvel movies.
This is true, but I've never seen it look so, graphic design is my passion.
I didn't even know you knew that, me. But where I was going with that is that it's actually one of these kind of cool things that I'm actually glad that Margot Robbie is actually using the clout that she has to try to basically get an all-female superhero film off the ground. I mean, honestly, great. And I think say everything that you want for DC, it probably works better for that probably than anywhere else, because I think that the only reason it took as long as it did for Marvel was thanks to Perlmutter. But that's been very well documented left and right, so we won't go into that here. Overall, though, I do think that we're coming here into the home stretch, and it was it was overall a pretty busy year for DC, and honestly, all of our frustrations that we had a couple years ago after Batman v Superman and Justice League, honestly, I feel like the DC movies have gotten a lot better.
You got Aquaman, you got Shazam.
Like, you want to talk about a hot take? I honestly felt as though coming out of the theater, Shazam is probably the best thing that DC has done since The Dark Knight.
No kidding.
Like, I loved Shazam. I thought that was fantastic. And that third act was just an absolute stunner.
Right. And we're not coming at that as some angry, this is the real Captain Marvel. No, it held up on its own as a comic book superhero movie.
Absolutely, and it's just like I absolutely loved it. It's just like watching it. It's like you're watching it. It's like it's nice and colorful. It's got the right kind of tone. It knows when to get dark, and knows for how long you could probably go dark for a movie like that. And then it's just like, let's go for it from there. And and Aquaman to an extent had that same thing as well.
I wouldn't call Aquaman great, but I enjoyed myself watching it.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's kind of what I would say as well for Aquaman. It's just like it's not an overall excellent movie, but I was entertained fully. And honestly, who would have thought that it would have taken a horror movie director to get the best out of Jason Momoa?
Kidding.
But hey, kudos to you, James Wan.
So we should probably wrap this up.
Yeah. Probably the next time that you'll see us or hear us, well, there's only one movie that we're really going to be focusing on here for the next few months, and let's just say emotions are going to be running high here coming up. Mm-hmm. And I think that we're excited, but we're also a little wary of it as well.
I'm more wary towards online.
That's fair enough, but we'll see how it goes right there. We once we get some word on what's going on, we'll either do what we're going to probably do. We'll probably try to do some more podcasting in this whole thing, maybe some more audio recordings. Maybe try to get something going that we've been saying that we've been wanting to do for years now, but we've never really sat down and kind of put it together.
We're lazy.
Both of us are. But hey, we got to do it if we're gonna make it happen. So just something to keep in mind going forward. Hopefully it works out for us. So that's gonna do it for us here.
Until next time.